Hey there, happy Easter. To those who observe, happy 420 to those who observe. Um, yeah, I thought I would come here and just say happy holidays to those who observe. Today I went and voted. So just to remind Canadians, vote early if you can. There was no lineup when I went. It was literally just in and out. I was the only one, which was great. It's way more convenient, easy, rather than having to stand in lineup. So if you're able to vote early, do that. Today there's early voting. I think tomorrow. I'm not sure, but check your writing. This is not an indication of who I voted for, um, at all. I was gonna. I have some thoughts on democracy, and if I even think if it's real or if it's fleeting or um, no. I personally think this is the direction Canada is going. A lot of people are like in denial about it, but um, it's already blue in Ontario, right? We just had an election. I voted differently today than I did in the provincial election. That's all I'll say. Um, yeah, I just started watching Bob Marley's One Love on Netflix, and it's got me thinking about unity and how unity, however you define it, togetherness, again, like who is ever included, right? I'm thinking here, one of the next points is around Christians and Christianity. And united Christianity does not include a lot of people, right? We don't really include a lot of people because we think that they stand in opposition to Christianity, and or our Bible tells us that they are abominations or we are more above than them, for whatever. Some of the justifications we use to other and like exclude people, right? But as I started watching this, it reminds me of how it is very threatening, especially to a lot of our systems and especially like our government. I don't know, like conspiracy theory, right? But it's just like when you you set up a system to run, um if you set up the algorithms, if you set up the mathematic equations, if your math becomes everybody's math, your equation becomes everybody else's equation, even if your equation says 2 plus 2 equals 5, it doesn't matter if 2 plus 2 actually equals 4 and not 5. Just because you are the authority, you get to say it's 5. Everybody else then says it's 5. And I feel like that is also sort of what, to me, Christianity is. It's just there's also a lot of misinformation and or teachings that go and run contrary to who and what we were once, right, pre-contact. And that's not to hold on to this like mythologized past. I don't even know, right? I am I am reincarnated, like yeah, I can talk all of that talk, right? Ancestral talk and like, oh, our ancestors, and but I was not actually there. I only know this life proper right now in this body, right? So um it kind of feels like that. Like we are sometimes told that 2 plus 2 is equals 5, right? 2 plus 2 equals 5. You guys are demonic. We're like, no, but 2 plus 2 equals 4. And you're like, no, 2 plus 2 equals 5. You guys are criminals. 2 plus 2 equals 5. And we're like, no, 2 plus 2 equals 4. And they gaslight us. And they're like, no, it's 5. And now we're all like, 2 plus 2. Did you know that 2 plus 2 equals 5? Oh my goodness. Uh, My pastor said 2 plus 2 equals 5. Oh my god, it's actually 5, not 4. And you can tell us nothing because we think 2 plus 2 equals 5, right? These people are need to be cast out because this is what this says. And it's like, but that's not how we were living. That's not how we were, and maybe that is how we were living, but like you found a loophole to monopolize to really divide us. You really did. Like, wow, we were divided. And exclusion becomes a point in which it's what's used to divide us, right? The gays don't belong. The girls, women do not belong. And they're just like, that's what you got out of the Bible? Huh. To control people? Huh. I just, I came out of the Bible thinking, like, wow, Jesus is really that boy. Like, he is that man. He is that dude. Like, he is really about that life. He is, wow, was not selfish. He really cared. Like, he really, really cared. Right? Like, Jesus really was empathic. He was really sensitive. Jesus actually would be everything that Blue hates. Which is so funny to me. It's so ironic that conservatives use Christianity, but I'm like, everything that Jesus was, you hate. You hate that soft shit. You hate you hate unity. You hate love. You don't like love. You don't like empathy. You don't like caring for the poor. You hate the poor. You hate the poor. You hate disabled people. Jesus was, albeit he was a little problematic and had like that savior complex and assuming that like blind people wanted to see, like, right, there's a whole disability critique we can get into that I'm not going to get into, but everything that Jesus stood for, a lot of even liberals don't like him. They don't like that, right? And we're being sold a completely different story. 2 plus 2 equals 5. And now we're voting blue because we think 2 plus 2 equals 5. When the whole time 2 plus 2 equals 4. And not knowing that is actually about to get us really fucked up, right? I see people voting against their own interests, and then it happens, and then we're like shocked. How are you shocked? I don't want no one to complain when we wake up and we find out that, please prove me wrong, and Pierre is not going to win. But like, you guys, this is where we see where the country is headed. Mark might win, but like, which is why he had to really show that like, I'm gonna stop the funding. I'm gonna send home a message that I'm just as tough as the conservatives. Mark Carney, he knows exactly what he's doing, right? But like, I don't know if it's enough. I think the liberals are a little bit still too much like Jesus. And the conservatives really don't actually like Jesus. Even though this is what they're telling you. But they're telling you Jesus would vote blue or red in the States, right? I don't know, maybe. But words like justice, compassion, liberation, freedom. Those are some of the words that I would associate with Jesus, right? To me, Jesus was the ultimate social justice warrior. They don't frame it like that. They don't frame it like that, right? To them, the the moral of the story of the Bible is to control, is to dominate, is to restrict women's bodies, right? Um, they don't see it that way though. So those are some of the thoughts I'm thinking about. There is Christian, like as a Christian, I do see they're like, you're not a real Christian. That's another thing. I was watching some of the posts on. I'm gonna end it here. Lil Nas X. I saw a Shade Room post where he was in the hospital, and a few people. Also, there's a few people who I've been seeing with this mouth thing. Lil Nas X was one, and somebody else recently was complaining about their lip. I was watching another video recently of a Ghanaian creator, and their lip was doing something weird, and I don't know if it's like a lip thing. But the Christians in the comments, all I'll say, you guys have to be careful who you're cursing up here, right? You have to be careful. You have to really, really be careful. Because the thing that you guys forget is like, just because you believe that 2 plus 2 equals 5, 2 plus 2 still equals 4. God still has that last say at the end of the day. And I see people running their mouth like, see, that's what God don't like ugly. God never said that. Your leader said that. God, this is where a lot of people are going to be gagged when they get to heaven, I think. Because if you still pay attention to who God's favorites are, often because some of us are closer. You guys don't have no intuition. They can't hear nothing. They've lost touch with that because they've been told it's demonic. And like you don't know how folks do it, but it's because just be careful out there. Careful who you're cursing. Be careful who you think that because your belief system says that they're going to hell, they're actually going to hell. Because you again, God has the last say. That's all I'm gonna say, right? Because you guys really, some of you guys are just, you got it so wrong, but you don't think so. So here are some of the books we're going to be reading here. Little Mowar and the Moon by Rosalind Ukukukjuk, illustrated by Jasmine Gooby. April is Poetry Month, so I took one of these books from the library that was on stand. Leonard Cohen, The Flame Poems and Selections from Notebooks. L. Duncan, For You I Will. L. Duncan. I haven't read any of these yet. I'm just sharing what I got out, so don't hold me. I Wish You Knew. I don't know if you can see that. I Wish You Knew. Jackie Azua Kramer. Magdalena Mora. And Ways to Make Friends. This is mostly for me as an adult. Ways to Make Friends. So, that's it. Try to stay united as much as possible. Pay attention to who and what's getting used. Even myself, right? When I get into narratives that divide, clock it. Pay attention to it. I said I was gonna stop using AAV. Okay, bye. The rice is burning. Okay, bye. Happy Easter.